These are the 5 reasons why no contact is not working on your avoidant ex. The first is going to be that no contact is a relief to the avoidant. The reason why this is such a relief to them is because when it comes to an avoidant, they don't want to have to deal with any unwanted emotions, vulnerabilities, or dealing with any type of conflict because they want to maintain control over that, because when they're able to do that, they can control the emotions that they're feeling. At least this is the facade that they're essentially trying to convince themselves that they can do. So when it comes to you going no contact to them, you are essentially giving them a ticket out to where they're not going to have to deal with that. So they feel relief because they're like, I dodged a bullet, I don't have to deal with anything like this, and they believe that everything is just going to miraculously work themselves out, which is obviously not the case, because you're hoping that by going no contact, they will essentially get the space away from the relationship and realize how this avoidant attachment style is really causing a hindrance on it, and maybe they'll actually make some changes so that you guys can have an improved relationship if you do get back. But that very rarely happens for an avoidant, because again, they are more looking at this as being an opportunity to have the space away from dealing with any unwanted emotions, and they are simply not going to be in any rush to try to get themselves out of being no contact with you, because again, this gives them the freedom to not have to deal with any of those unwanted emotions, vulnerabilities, or conflicts that may be needing to be dealt with. Which leads perfectly into the second reason, and that is they process emotions later rather than in the moment. Now, this is something that you've probably experienced so many times with this avoidant, where essentially something happens and they have this kind of delayed response where you would expect them to have this reaction emotionally to it, but they seem to really not be bothered. And then later on, they have this reaction, and you're just like, where is this coming from? This was something that you would expect way early on. But when it comes to an avoidant, because of the way that they're wired, they essentially have all of these different fail stops and things that stop them from feeling that emotion up front, because they don't want to feel any unwanted emotions. They don't want any surprises, and they want to essentially try to maintain this facade that they have control over the emotions that they feel. So because of that, they don't really take the time to think about things and understand how this is going to affect them like you normally would in that moment. So because of this, when you go no contact, they're not really thinking about the consequences of that, right? They're not really thinking that things are going to go in a negative way. They're more kind of focused on themselves and how good they're feeling about not having to deal with any of those emotions. And although they are very good at doing this in the beginning stages, this is definitely something that's temporary and won't be lasting long. The third reason why it's not working is because you are still connected to them in some way or somehow. You are not fully going no contact with them. What this essentially means is that you are not blocking them from all aspects of your life. Typically, what people do when they think is enough to go no contact is to just block them from making texts and calls to them, which is a step, but there's still that other major aspect of social media, or maybe you need to change your habits because maybe they go to the same gym or whatever that might look like. You really need to try your hardest to completely block them out, because that is how you officially go no contact with this person, and you draw yourself away from them to really have them experience what it's like to not have you in their life for real. And this is something that they essentially need to feel. But by you not having them blocked on all of your social media platforms or different things like that, this is going to give them some type of connection to you to where they can kind of see what's going on. And chances are you're not going to be doing things that's going to make them feel uncomfortable, like going out with different people or things like that, because typically most people who are going no contact are doing it because they want to see a reaction of how this person is going to respond to this. And there's a part of you that's waiting around to see what is going to happen. So you're not out there kind of thinking about going to see other people and those type of things that they might see that would cause them to have a reaction. So because they're not seeing any real activity, they can feel comfortable feeling like, one, you are still available to them in some way, and two, they feel like they are still connected to you because at any point in time they can reach out to you if they want, which typically they're not doing that. But to them, that's a sign that you are still emotionally connected to them, because technically you are, which segues perfectly into the fourth reason, is they believe that you are going to be always around for them whenever they feel like coming back. The reason why they feel this way is because it's probably the truth, right? You have probably always been there waiting around for them to come back when they've finally been over this avoidant attachment style, and you've tried to do everything that you possibly could to make it work. And I don't want this to seem like I am beating you up for this, because I understand why you're doing it. You genuinely love this person. You're trying to do everything that you possibly can to make it work, but essentially they're not doing anything to match that. And it's coming from a genuine place of love and trying to do the right thing. But when you do that, there's a negative connotation that this avoidant will typically take from it, and that is you are going to always be readily available to them, and they could simply do whatever they want, and they feel like they can just come back to you when they want. So because of that, that's what caused them to really not take it seriously, in the sense that they really start to feel like they could potentially be losing you, because they're so used to feeling that this is how things are going to go. And the fifth and most common reason why is because you are going no contact in the wrong way. Typically, when most people are going no contact with an avoidant, or anyone for that matter, they're doing it with the sense of thinking that this is going to cause this person to finally realize all the mistakes that they're making and how they've played such a major part in not allowing this relationship to work because of this avoidant attachment style. But in actuality, that doesn't happen, especially when it comes to that avoidant, because they are essentially, again, going to process this in a lot longer time frame. They also have this major fortress that they've built within their mind that causes them to believe that being an avoidant is actually a good thing for them, and they kind of convince themselves to stay this way all the time. So you're dealing with a lot of different aspects and scenarios that happen, and even if they do realize that they're at fault here, because of this avoidant attachment style, they may never relate that to you, which typically causes them to continue to stay in this mindset. So because of all of that, you could do all of these things perfectly, and this avoidant could still be unaffected by this. But the correct reason as to why you are going no contact should always be about yourself. It's about you getting the space away from this person so that you can begin to figure out what you need to do and what is best for you. Because chances are, throughout this entire relationship, you have been solely focused on this individual and their needs and everything that you can do to try to make it work, which is going to naturally neglect yourself, your own priorities, your boundaries, what you want. And you need to get back to that fundamental, to realizing what you want out of the relationship and all of these different things that make you you. And this is what no contact gives you. It may feel uncomfortable in the beginning. It may feel like you're doing something wrong, but it is so important that you stick to it, because it's about, again, you figuring out things for yourself and understanding, do you even want to give this person a chance if they come back? And if they don't ever come back, what do you need to do to fully move on from them and heal and set those boundaries back up again, so that you can make sure whenever somebody else presents this to you, you can have those boundaries to fall back on, to make sure that you don't go down this road that you don't want to experience again. So if you could only take away one thing from this video, that should be about you going no contact for yourself, because that is what's going to give you the space away to get the clarity to know what is the best thing for you to do next. I hope you did enjoy today's video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.